Go live. Good morning, welcome to a Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 7th of June. So before we look at the markets themselves, quick look at news events coming out today. In fact, let's just update this because there's a bit of updating to do. There we go. So Canadian data there falling from the forecast there yesterday afternoon. Obviously we'd already seen the rates increase rather than decrease or stay left alone for the Aussie Reserve Bank of Australia even. This morning already GDP data coming out though, showing 0.2. Now I was just reading a little bit about the Governor Lowe, Reserve Bank of Australia governor, they're just suggesting that rates may take a while to come down but are on the right path basically. This afternoon we got the Bank of Canada and the overnight rate. Now there are a whole raft of ECB speakers today. We got 8:50, 9:30, 10:10 and 1 o'clock, so there's a whole bundle of them technically put. So it's going to be a busy old busy ECB morning maybe. Right, let's look at the technicals then. Morning Sean. Technical wise, what we're doing here, well, the euro certainly still in this downward trend, and looking at it at the moment, it's broken my little trend line. I'm sure I put that on yesterday morning, I did, and it's broken through that. Did manage a rally in the afternoon as ever. We all see this sort of counter move coming through at 2 o'clock. It's really 3 o'clock it started in earnest, but it had bottomed out into 1. Rallying back up there, coming back off this morning. Are we going to see a bit more morning rollover before we see the afternoon rally? We'll see. It seems a common factor. Look, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock that day. Same again, and you're seeing it in reverse often the other way around. So anyway, let's not try and catch into just cycles like that, but it just shows you how the market is, the differentials in these markets at the moment. 8 o'clock turnaround here on that day, not really such a obvious point, but certainly in the afternoons and evenings we're seeing more of a move. Right, so euro looking southbound. At the moment it's halfway down there. I'm just thinking of a swing really, looking at some of these markets and wonder whether it's worth just sitting in a swing until early next week. The pound, similar case here, looking southbound. It has held up in some respects better. Some of the times you look at it intraday, you wonder why, or if it really has, but when you come back out and look at the daily picture, it's not done too bad. Not doing too bad, but just drew this trend line across here this morning, and that sort of really marks the line in the sand. There's a bit of a head and shouldery pattern kicking in there. And certainly looking on the softer side of things as well. Again, we're sort of halfway down to, or more than halfway down to its daily R1. We've hit the pivot. Statistically, the R2 doesn't look so good, but we could be running down towards the lows of Monday there. Okay, it certainly looks on the short side. Just bear in mind that we do get a lot of mornings recently where it completely reverses. Okay, it's just looking then at the US dollar yen. Well, the yen's holding up for much of the time a lot better. It's quite consolidated here. You see the sort of wedge pattern that's sitting there at the moment, and it often we see this sort of wedge patterns and all of a sudden it will fire out. Consolidate around its lows here, but well, we'll see what happens. A break below these lows would just suggest a continuation and a further strength of the yen, but at the moment a bit iffy, and it spends a lot of time consolidating, so personally would steer clear. Australian dollar, well, after all that news, we're back to one of my pivots, one of my big old long-term pivots that's been sitting around, and it's just reacting off that a little bit more at the moment. Yesterday, obviously we had the higher interest rate announced there, but it's diverged by the looks of things over the highs here, and is starting maybe to come off. Be careful though, but it does to me look softer. A break of the daily pivot there could be the heads up for the daily S1. It's just looking softer in what was really a softish market, but a bit more patience off that area may be sensible. US dollar CAD. This gained yesterday, but the dollar weakened against the CAD, but it's catching a bit of a bounce from where it is at the moment. I'm starting to lack the trust of this because it's just going choppily sidewards. Overall, the bigger picture, it's range bound effectively, and it's whether or not it can pull out of this. So at the moment it's sitting about 2/3 up it. I'll leave it. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Again, it's still dealing with the underside there. It's had a couple of days up, but again, consolidation, and we're seeing this sort of, I suppose, the more I'm going through these markets, the more the picture's seeing consolidation in the bigger picture or an intermediate picture, and then there's some sort of moves coming off here. The thing is, they can be quite short-lived effectively, and we've seen, as I said yesterday, earlier on, beg pardon, we've seen these reversals coming in the afternoons, but looks soft for now, but not the best of markets. Euro yen, I feel like I'm battling against the markets here rather than go with it. Euro yen, well, this does look soft again. It's softish around about these highs here. We've seen quite a sell-off this morning already. In fact, today's bars are near enough as big as the last in 2 days, side by side there, but looking softer here. Lower highs coming through just about on the 4 hourlies. You can see them clearer on the hourlies here. Lower highs, lower lows. Already done everything this morning. Hit the daily pivot, hit the S1. It gives less scope, and it's sitting around some prior lows there. So there you go, you can see it a bit clearer here. Key now is whether it can actually break through those. I'd probably wait until it breaks, gives a bit of a retest, and then look for the short side of that if I was taking the shorts. But one thing to bear in mind, the euro yen is one of the most sold currencies by the retail traders, and well, maybe they've got it right, or when they do eventually start seeing it right, it might be a short-lived. We might see some closing of those positions quite quickly. Looking at the euro pound, I was mentioning this. It's not got a great deal in it at the moment for me. Selling off a little bit here on the 4 hourlies, lower highs. It's become, I was talking about it yesterday actually, it's sort of it's become choppy. I was waiting in the morning to see if it rolled over, and well, it did it later in the afternoon there, but it's not at all clean, and it's gone a bit messy for me at the moment, so I'll steer clear of that again. Euro Aussie lost a lot of territory yesterday. Still pushing down. Morning flow, morning in. Still pushing down here. Consolidated, and just looking at the consolidation, pushing down. It's not too far off the support into its weekly S2 there. Slow old trickle running through here. Certainly a decent downward trend. It's I tell you what would be quite nice, and I'm popping a little old alert up that way as if it was to get a retrace. Euro Aussie could be interesting from that point of view. Euro CAD, just see the owlies there, it shows it all up. Bigger picture is trending downwards. A lot of the movement seems to come quite quickly, and then it's dulled off here. It's just come down to the hourly here, so it finally drifted off yesterday. I mean, when you look at it at 8 o'clock, when we were looking around about that 8 o'clock bar, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, didn't do very much, and it's just drifting. It's not really moving that quickly at the moment. Pound Aussie, choppy as anything, I'll leave that alone. Pound CAD, again, we're just seeing a similar picture. So there's a lot of consolidation, a lot of ranges out there, which is probably not unexpected with the next week's sort of, I say it's seen as key. Every Fed meeting we have seems key these days, but it's just waiting to see if they finally leave rates alone or whether they increase rates, and what the comments have been. In particularly this time it's the dot plot that comes out, which is where the members see interest rates going forward, so it gives even more sort of depth to what they're discussing, and a bit more clue of the markets. Anyway, there we go. There's the currency pairs. Nothing I can see too much there at this stage. Looking through then at gold. So quite, again, choppy, range bound. Quite ugly in terms of what we're seeing. Whether it's not neither a top and a bottom, or at the moment it seems, as I say, just very rangy. Sold off quite quickly all of a sudden. It's not a market I want to be in. Crude. So crude, another market that's not moving too much either way. There's a lot of expectation this would be towards $90 by the end of the year, which I suppose it could still end up that way. A decent rally from here would give us a bit of an inverted head and shoulder pattern, but at the moment it's consolidating. I think the slowdown in China and the overall sort of slowdown worldwide in a lot of places, a lot of time, to a great extent, is the problem there. Okay, looking at CSI 300, it seems like a bit of the same again. Groundhog Day, that's also what I was trying to remember. Lower highs, lower lows, still looking soft, looking weak. The Nikkei's had a good old time. Key reversal bar there though, overnight. It doesn't mean to say it's going to drop like a brick, but is a bit of a softer signal there, or it's looking a bit soft, although still in a very bullish market. Nifty 50, it's struggling where it is, but so aren't all the markets. So it's done okay. It's put another up day there, still bullish overall, but slowing down. The Aussie 200, no surprise here to see it still in its downward range. I think if you can sell into one of these little highs as it comes back, but for now looks like it's got further downside. It's got a yearly pivot sitting below there, and looks like it's got scope for running down towards that. S&Ps, the minis, another positive day yesterday. Again, starting to consolidate around the highs there, really not going anywhere. The Dow's a bit rangy now. Well, I say danger now, it's just been rangy most of the time. They're just consolidating. When you look at this over the last month or so, it's in that range. It's got range bound. Market that is moving is the Nasdaq. Again though, yesterday, so you see how they're all a lot of the markets consolidating last 3 days. I think we could see this running into the Fed decision on these US markets at least. German DAX, we're seeing up day, down day, up day almost. Okay, we had 2 up days now, I've said that, but looking a bit on the softer side at the moment, but there's some trends through the weeks, but when you look at it on a daily basis, yesterday it's supposed to spent most of its time chopping there. It's got a lower high, it's just kicking down here. Maybe we'll see it running back down to sitting on a quarterly pivot below there, so maybe, he said, just checking that is the quarterly pivot. Well, yeah, it must be the quarterly pivot that's sitting below there, which has been providing a bit of support. Okay, that's a DAX. FTSE, someone's pointed a head and shoulder pattern to me today. Where was that on? There you go, 4-hourly time frame. It's just come up the time frames here for FTSE, lower highs, but just as it's put a bit of a beautifully prepared inverted head and shoulders, it started to sell off before it's broken. Break of the low of that, of course, kills it altogether. Looking quite soft at the moment again, but break of the highs there, of course we got the chance of a reasonable move up there, but just it's got to break it first, but the pattern is certainly there. Okay, looked at all those. Quick look at the cryptos as it's Wednesday. So Bitcoin, well, the surprise, it's in chop. There we go, chop, more chop. Ethereum, the same. Chain link, pretty much similar sort of pattern kicking through. It's these markets are lacking direction of tradable direction, really. Let's see if you can catch some of this chop. You're okay. Ripple, just looking through here, quite ugly old pattern kicking through there. Aussie US dollar, I covered that earlier. Let me just come back, questioning Aussie US dollar. Yeah, Aussie US dollar, as I've already mentioned, it's looking a bit soft where it's sitting. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we see continued chop on it. But anyway, there we go. Covered that earlier on. Right, must go. Wish you guys on YouTube all the best. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.